one of the other owners of property around the lake, a rather large owner, is PacifiCorp. And Claudia, you were going to do this? Okay. Claudia Conder is going to address this issue. I think it's a one-liner, I think she said. So.
Well, and Conley leaned over to me and said, "Good luck." And I said, "I thought you were doing this." So this will be short. I just, first of all, want to point out that the pictures in Claudia's video that showed the construction of the Lifton pumping station, I have a whole series of those. And in fact, if you're very interested, they're on the bearriverbasin.org website. I think most of there's a bunch of those old pictures of the construction of Lifton there. And oh, is it on? No, it's on the commission site. Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Okay, Bear River Basin, or bearrivercommission.org. See, can't get it right. But, oh. We went dumpster diving one day. There, a bunch of old files were being just thrown out in our office, and some employees decided to go through, see what they were throwing out, and actually was able to salvage those pictures literally out of the dumpster. So anyway, it just astonishes me that they were able to construct that facility, and mostly in the dead of winter. And you guys know what the winters are like up here. And imagine what it was like in 1916 trying to construct that project. So anyway, those pictures are out there if you're interested. So yeah, PacifiCorp owns most of North Beach. In fact, the North Beach State Park, I wish that Kirk were here this morning. He's not, but we let them manage it for us. Because most of what you know as the state park on the North Beach actually belongs to PacifiCorp. About 99% of that property is PacifiCorp owned property, and we have a lease agreement with the state for them to operate it. And so they take care of it for us. And we do also own some other property east of there, immediately east of there where the causeway is. And of course the Lifton pumping station, and then even further east, adjacent to the Nebuchadnezzar property. We've had several people ask us to buy that property, and I can tell you it's not for sale, and it probably never will be, at least in my lifetime. PacifiCorp is very concerned about safety and keeping the general public away from those facilities for safety reasons, as you can imagine. So it's the reason that we own that is to maintain a buffer through there. We do have the far easterly side of that leased out to someone who runs cows on it, but he has a fence that fences those cows and keeps them from getting to the lake, which is a good thing. So yeah, that's about the extent of it. Now, I did find out yesterday that we may have a Phragmites problem on some of that ground that we need to address. During one of the settlements that we were engaged in up here, there was some, I think it was the dredging that we did in 2003, we had funded some dollars to have some of those things taken care of. Those funds have probably run out by now, but we try to be good stewards of our ground. Just the sheer amount of property that we own sometimes makes it very difficult, and we work with our lessees when we do lease property up here, or well, anywhere in our company, work with our lessees and make certain that they're being maintained in the best way possible, because we understand how important that is. So yeah, if we have a weed issue or a concern, that's our responsibility to address that. But as we talked about the lake going up and down as it does, and PacifiCorp always taking the brunt of the blame or the credit, whichever way the winds might be blowing, we know that that affects things and changes things, and you're somewhat limited as to what you can do in some cases. But again, we understand that we are large property owners and that we need to be responsible for that. So that's about all I have. If anyone has any questions, Carolyn?
I was wondering, when we were talking about the lakeshore, how
that so beautiful, but nobody else can do it. I just wondered, is that State Park? Are you talking about North Beach State Park? Well, I think you can credit Kirk Rich for that. Yeah. I
think what she leads into is the differences between the two different offices that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers allow.
Oh.
Kirk Rich does a great job. He's able to go ahead and disc that beach until the top foot of it to help keeps the weeds out, no risk for the Phragmites looking beach. However, on my end, on the south end of the lake, Rendezvous Beach, where we have a similar type of beach, we're not allowed to do that without a permit. And it's a pretty lengthy permit process that we have to go through.
You're asking the wrong person, I think. Yeah.
One federal agency overlooking one lake, and yet two different offices handle it totally different.
Yes.
Are you saying that from the North Shore, there is, when the lake goes down, no sovereign land in front of your property? Is there no lake bed that's sovereign land?
Oh, yes, there is.
Where do you own to? I mean, how far out from the high water mark is it sovereign land?
Yes. And to know where that high water mark is, this 592365 elevation that we've been talking about, if you were to drive out there, I'm not sure right along the beach area, but I know east of there, east of the causeway, you'll see some orange carcinite markers. That is the 592365 elevation.
High water mark, do I understand that out, when the lake goes out, you're allowed to till?
No, I'm not suggesting that. That's, no.
I can.
State Park, Idaho does till it.
He's talking about the upland at the park, up in the park area, not below, not on the. I don't think. Kirk made a very interesting observation at the Idaho meeting we had yesterday, and he says we were talking about kind of the experiment of what we do with Phragmites and weeds, and he just said as an illustration as to the different areas and the different biome that we have to deal with. He said that I think he gets maybe a lot of credit for keeping that beach very clean, but he said it's actually fairly simple, and he's able to keep ahead of it on North Beach. But at that other piece of property that they have, what do they call that, East Shore Park, State Park, is I saying the right thing? He said they've fought it and they've fought it and they've tried to do things there and have had very little success. And so, it just kind of adds to that complexity that, what works in one place doesn't necessarily work in another. And,
I'm not sure that I have the answer.
oh, I'm sorry.
I can't speak for Kirk, but I've known Kirk for 20 years, and I've heard him say it over and over in meetings. And that is, what's permitted for the park is not necessarily permitted for private landowners down below their property on the land.
Down below the high water mark.
That's correct. And there's a lot of beachfront property owners that aren't happy with that, because they're like, well, the state park is this. Well, they have to go through the permit, and they look at the overall good to the general public. And if they can concentrate the general public in an area, and they're allowed to do that, then they can keep the disturbances to a minimum around the rest of the lake.
Then how come like you said, the Rendezvous Beach doesn't do that? Is that a different
It's
Corps?
a different Corps.
Different Corps office.
So different
Utah versus Idaho?
Yes.
I think. Okay.
It's probably not versus, but it'd probably be good
Maybe
when
that's
John
wrong.
does his.
Yeah, we'll hear from both.
I just wanted to have no misunderstanding.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. Thank you, Claudia. I'm sorry, make you stand there. Thank you. Didn't want to let her get away too easy.